On Saturday, KCB takes on Kakamega Homeboys while Kenya Police plays Sofapaka. Sunday, Kariobangi Sharks will be up against SS Assad while FC Leopards will play Compel FC. Catch all the action live and exclusive on Saturday and Sunday only on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
God is bringing out the best in my life.
There is this pressure that you need to make it. You need to drive. You need to have some money. You need to live a good life and live in a certain estate.
The people who are being celebrated are the people who seem to be making it big time. Your beliefs and your behavior, they don't match. There you have a big problem. We call it a dissonance. And it creates a psychological disturbance.
Many young people are depressed because they feel like they have failed. The standards are so high, and they look at their lives and they feel, when will I ever make it?
This is an age when they want to be accepted by their peers. Naturally, that's a natural, it's an innate need. It's a natural need. It's not something they just imagine. It is in them.
Currently ongoing across the country. We do know of Kisumu as well as here in the capital. We do understand any moment from now the Secretary General of a UDA party, that is Cleophas Malala, will be addressing members of the Fourth Estate in the Nyanza region, as well as we do understand UDA presser will be held in terms of the chair of Elections Board, that is Anthony Mora, and we'll be giving you an update of that and so much more. Talk to us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 as well as at Abdiaziz Hashim 1. But before we talk about the UDA grassroots election, let's start on the update of floods, where 5 people have lost their lives to flood waters in Embu County since heavy rain started pounding the country. Embu County Commissioner Jack Obuo says that the County Disaster Management Committee is monitoring the situation, especially in 16 villages at risk of flooding. This comes as a family of Kambo village in Makindu-Makueni County is appealing for help of the body of their loved one that was swept away by floodwaters on Monday.
In several parts of the country, families are picking their pieces following heavy flooding that left behind a trail of deaths and destruction. A family from Kambo village in Makindu-Makueni is in agony after their kin was swept away by floodwaters.
Tumepoteza mtu wetu na maji akienda kazi, na sasa hii tumetafuta hatumupati. Kwa hivyo tunasikia uchungu sana, tunataka tusaidiwe. Ni watu wa Msalaba Mwekundu ama usaidizi yoyote.
Alikuwa anasaidia mama, akachukuliwa na maji. Alikuwa mtu mpole.
Huyu kijana anaonekana ni kama alikuwa tegemeo la familia hii, na mama yake ni mama mzee zaidi, hajiwezi.
In Kiambu County, more than 50 families have been displaced after the Manguo swamp in Limuru overflowed. The residents here had constructed permanent houses on riparian land, obstructing the flow of water.
Downstreams, of course, some areas we have seen that they are in waterway. Those are the people we are saying. Some of them, they have to move away. we have no alternative, because if this phenomenon is going to be there throughout, what are we going to do? We can't be doing every other day to come and do hasty things. We have to come and remove some of these things.
To urge our people, especially the ones living along the waterways, because we don't know how long the rain will going to come, they should move away, because this is a disaster in waiting.
Meanwhile, transport activities using railway from Nairobi to Kisumu have been paralyzed following landslides at Thogoto in Kikuyu, Kiambu County. Those residing next to the railway have also been affected, with their houses covered with mud alongside their farms.
Wakati huo mchanga ulipita, reli iliachwa ikiwa hanging ama iko juu, imepaa juu, na kwa hivyo shughuli za reli zimesimama.
Ukiangalia jinsi watu wanalima kando kando na hiyo railway, ni vile kusema ya kwamba hiyo mchanga yake imekuwa mchanga ambayo ni duni na haiwezi kuvumilia kishindo ya maji.
Hii railway line bado tunaona ingekuwa vizuri sana kama wangelocate on the left side, na hiyo drainage bado kulingana vile nimesema ielekezwe huko Kihuguro na ipitie chini iende kwa mto.
In Embu County, 6 lives have so far been lost, according to the County Commissioner Jack Obuo.
Mbere South tumekuwa na watu wawili wameaga kwa sababu juu ya maneno ya flooding. Mwea watu wawili wameaga kwa sababu ya flooding. Embu West pia tumekuwa na case moja.
Nancy Okware, Lunchtime News.
And of course, we'll be keeping an eye on updates in various parts of the country. We do know that the rains will continue until next month. Now, I want to take you live. We do understand that the UDA Secretary General, that is Cleophas Malala, is currently addressing members of the Fourth Estate in regards to the UDA party grassroots elections that have kicked off in both Kisumu and Nairobi. And of course, we'll be having another one from the Anthony. But before we go for those live links, let's take this particular story where the Central Organization of Trade Unions KOTU has sharply criticized Public Service Cabinet Secretary, that is Moses Kuria's threat to stop subscription payment for union members through payroll, terming it against international labor laws and against the Kenyan Constitution. KOTU Deputy Secretary, that is Benson Okwaro, at the same time said CS Kuria's proposals to convert all civil servants on permanent and pensionable to contractual terms as unattainable and one that will be too costly to the government.
In my view, the CS Kuria is acting emotionally, just out of the failed conciliation between the government and KMPDO. He should not transfer his anger to the Kenyan workers who have no issue with the dockers strike. You are employed with a letter specifying who you are, what grade you are doing, and your terms and conditions of service. Nobody, apart from your employer or a court of law, can reverse that order. I don't see how that will be divided. Maybe the people he wants to employ now moving forward, because people have no jobs. So if I went to him and looking for a job, he can employ me on contract.
And as promised, I need to take you live to UDA headquarters here in the capital. We do understand that the chair of the Elections Board chair, that is Anthony Moore, is currently addressing members of the Fourth Estate. Let's get to hear what will be happening, because we have witnessed, in terms of what our reporters have been telling us since morning, is that there have been hitches across the country during this particular UDA grassroots. Let's listen into what is happening there at the UDA headquarters.
But so far so good. Most of our members have come out in large numbers and the voting is going on, and we want to assure our members, wherever, like in Nairobi, we had some small hiccups due to the gadgets, they came in a little bit late. We want to assure our members that we will extend the time to about 6 p.m. And we want to assure our members that there is no violence anywhere so far, and the gadgets, the system that we have put in place, because, you know, this is the first political party that has gone digital, and the system that we put in place is working on very well. People are happy with the system. We've not had any hiccups concerning the system so far, and the organization of this party so far is overwhelming, is so good, and everywhere so far the voting is going on well without any hiccups. And we want to assure our members that the voting will not have any hiccups. So far, so good. And we want to assure our members that in case of any...
Well, that is a press briefing at UDA headquarters here in the capital, addressing some of the concerns that were witnessed in various stations, especially here in the capital. You've just heard from UDA officials stating that more gadgets have been sent to respective areas to tackle the hitches that have been witnessed. Some, of course, of the members cannot see their details on that particular system itself, and also they have extended the time to 6 p.m. Our reporter, John Jacob Curia, is following that particular report here in the capital. And we also do understand our reporter Wycliffe is also following the same, given that the UDA SG Cleophas Malala is going across the country telling about in terms of the UDA grassroots elections. And of course, we're trying to get a hold of the SG, who has been camping in various parts of the country, drumming up support for this particular exercise that is currently ongoing. And of course, tackling what will be issued in terms of the floods that the SG was talking about a while ago in West Pokot, that the polls were affected owing to the heavy rains that are being witnessed here in various parts of the country. Now, further, he stated that voting will be extended beyond the stipulated time, which is 3 p.m. We've just heard there from UD officials here at the capital at polling stations where the exercise began late. Phase 1 of the staggered UDA grassroots polls is currently running in 5 counties, namely Homa Bay, Nairobi, West Pokot, Busia, and Narok. We have dispatched our reporters in the Nyanza region as well as here in the capital to keep tabs on those particular exercises that are currently ongoing. We've just heard an assurance from the UDA party headquarters that the exercise will continue until 6 p.m. and of course ensure that is free and fair. You do remember also that this particular polls were postponed to this year following last year's declaration by President William Ruto and the party officials. ODM is also will be slating at the end of this particular month in running to the next coming months in terms of conducting this grassroots elections, which are pivotal ahead of the 2027 polls. Now, before I tell you about more in terms of the UDA grassroots elections, of course, we're trying to get a hold of the UDA Secretary General, that is Cleophas Malala, who we do understand is making rounds across the country. Once we do get that live feed, we'll be taking you there. Now, still on more stories where Bunge la Mwananchi now wants legal action taken against the National Hospital Insurance Fund CEO Elijah Ajira for contempt of court. The lobby group who took to the streets to push for the execution of the court order found themselves in the wrong side of the law after police threw tear gas canisters to disperse them. Ajira is accused of having ignored the court order served by Lady Justice Mongare on 2nd of April 2024 to pay Jomlek Limited, a rehabilitation center hospital in Nakuru, more than 160 million shillings.
Court orders zimekuwa haziwezi heshimiwa na mtu wowote. And that's why we are appealing today kwa Mkenya wowote mwenye ashai-serve court orders kwa any government office ikakosa kuheshimiwa. We are appealing, mlete hizo court orders ndio tushikanishe Ajira na hao wengine ambao wenye huwa hawaheshimu court orders, kuonyeshana example kuwa koti zetu ni za manufaa na zinafaa kuheshimiwa.
Kama mahakama imetoa uamuzi na imepeana orders, ni lazima hizo orders ziheshimiwe.
And in other news, veterinary practitioners are faulting the government for allegedly sidelining them in the fight against insecurity resulting from banditry activities in the country. Through the Union of Veterinary Practitioners, the doctors claim banditry menace could be a thing of the past should the government employ modern technology to monitor the movement of cattle in cattle rustling-prone areas.
banditry. What the government needs to do is simply to involve veterinary experts, and we'll be able to end this without waiting for our own brothers and sisters to lose lives.
We have the technology actually to address this. Deploying our officers to man the slaughterhouses using this technology would be able to underscore and tell us the movements, understand the movements of the animals.
And we are urging farmers and livestock keepers and the government to board on leads. You remember the DVS has launched the leads program in Nanyuki and covering the asshole areas.
Now let's go back to among our top stories this afternoon. We do understand that the UDA Secretary General, that is Cleophas Malala, is addressing members of the Fourth Estate. Let's get to hear in terms of the updates of the UDA grassroots elections that are being conducted in 5 counties, namely Homa Bay, Nairobi, West Pokot, Busia and Narok County. Let's get to hear more. We apologize for that technical glitch. That is the UDA Secretary General, that is Cleophas Malala, who is going across the country to update their members in terms of the ongoing UDA grassroots elections that have started today. The counties that are currently conducting them is Homa Bay, Nairobi, West Pokot, Busia and Narok. Remember that this grassroots election will be conducted in phases. Those are the first 5 counties for the UDA grassroots elections. Once we do get the sound of the UDA Secretary General, that is Cleophas Malala, we'll be going back there. Elsewhere, a section of political leaders are raising concerns of a plot to allegedly heave off part of land allocated to the University of Embu, located in Manyata constituency, Embu County. Speaking during the issuance of bursaries at the university grounds, Manyata Member of Parliament Gitonga Mukunji warned that they will not allow the university land to be grabbed. He said the land was to be used for expansion and development of the institution.
Kuna sarakasi nyingi sana ya maneno ya mashamba. This university is out of bound for anybody who want to grab land. Hii shamba yote tunahitaji kwa sababu tunahitaji ma colleges, tunahitaji kuongeza school of medicine, tunahitaji vitu mingi sana. Let not anybody joke with the land of the University of Embu. Na wazazi
And in other news, the Law Society of Kenya has gone to court seeking to nullify a new law by the Kiambu County Administration that imposes tax on privately owned land. The matter was filed at the Thika Land and Environment Court under certificate of urgency on behalf of the residents of Kiambu, who said to be at risk of losing their land should they default on the land tax. Now, LSK want to have the Kiambu County Valuation Rating Act 2016 declared unconstitutional. The new law allows the county to seize land from defaulters and auction it to recover the taxes, besides a fine of up to 150,000 Kenya shillings, which the petitioner says is a violation of the Constitution. The case is set for a mention on the 20th of next month.
That affects every landowner in Kiambu County. Our client felt particularly concerned that if the county was allowed to exceed its mandate and enforce taxes on landowners, it will infringe on their rights to land ownership under the Constitution.
Sababu watu wa Kiambu wanaendelea kufinyika sana, wakiambiwa hata mama analima pale Ndeia, mtu analimia ako pale Katundo analima ndoma zake, hata anaambiwa analipa rates kila mwaka. Na wengi wao hawawezi fanya hivyo, hawezi afford hiyo pesa. Kwa hivyo analipishwa the same pesa ambayo mtu ambaye amejenga anafanya kazi kwa town ya Thika ama ya Kiambu town ama Kikuyu town, wanalipa the same rates, na wote wako wanafanya different activities na hizo mashamba zao.
Once more, I need to take you live to the UDA presser that is currently being held in the Nyanza part of the country, where we do understand UDA Secretary General, that is Cleophas Malala, is currently addressing members of the Fourth Estate. Let's listen in to what the SG is saying.
Kaunti ya Homa Bay, kaunti ya Narok, kaunti ya Busia na kaunti ya West Pokot. Leo niliamua nikuje niangalie jinsi vile kura inapigwa huku Homa Bay, alafu nielekee kule Busia, alafu tumalizie kule West Pokot. Na nimefurahishwa sana na ile jinsi vile watu wamejitokeza kwa wingi kupiga kura. Nimekuja hapa kwa kituo hapa Kibiri Ward, kituo inaitwa Omolo Agar. Yes. Na nimepata kwamba paka sasa hivi kituo kilifunguliwa wakati ambapo tulitarajia kituo kifunguliwe saa 3, na paka sasa hivi watu 180 wameshapiga kura hapa katika kituo hiki. Na hii ni ishara kwamba watu wa Homa Bay na watu ambao wamejiandikisha kama wanachama wa UDA wamejitokeza kwa wingi sana. Nimefurahia kwa sababu mumeona tunatumia mtandao kupiga kura. Hakuna maneno ya karatasi. Unaenda pale, unapata jina lako iko kwa register, na nimefurahia kwamba hata wamama wamefurahia kupiga kura kwa njia ya dijitali. Tulikuwa na wasiwasi kwamba wengi wao hawataelewa kupiga kura, lakini nimegundua hapa watu wako digital kabisa. So mimi ningependa kuhimiza wale ambao bado wako.
Well, that is the update from the SG. Has just confirmed that in Homa Bay 130 people have already voted, and once he leaves Homa Bay, he'll be heading over to Busia and he'll finalize his trip in West Pokot County. Those are among the 3 counties that are currently conducting the UDA grassroots elections. He has also addressed on matters to do with the challenges and hiccups that have been witnessed, especially in the morning, assuring that the votes will be conducted free and fairly, and of course more machines. Earlier we heard from the UDA party headquarters that have been sent to areas that are witnessing these hiccups along the way. Now, in other news, with the registration of citizens in the Social Health Insurance Fund expected to begin mid-next month, stakeholders in the health sector held a meeting to analyze the preparations as well as make recommendations on how to educate citizens about the fund. Among the things discussed in the partnership between the public health and the private sector, while the National Health Insurance Fund has been applauded for its aim in reducing the burden of medical expenses, a concern over the 29 billion shillings debt owed to private health facilities is a point of concern.
Engaging as a private sector and give our inputs to the other act, and this includes the Facility Improvement Act, the Digital Health Act, and also the ones that touch on the emergency and chronic care. So we feel that in total, as a private sector, if we are able to give our inputs into this area, then we'll really be able to move our country, to the next levels.
With private providers, still find it easy to continue providing services to the members under SHA, or will they need to reevaluate themselves?
It is exactly 20 minutes past the hour. We need to take our first commercial break here on KBC's Lunchtime News. Don't go too far. We still have more for you on the other side of the break.
It's football weekend on KBC Channel 1. A place in the last 4 beckons as the 8 remaining teams face off in the quarterfinals of Mozart Cup. On Saturday, KCB takes on Kakamega Homeboys while Kenya Police plays Sofapaka. Sunday, Kariobangi Sharks will be up against SS Assad while FC Leopards will play Compel FC. Catch all the action live and exclusive on Saturday and Sunday only on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
a day will come when we can all speak in one voice as classmates.
Hey, girlfriend, don't let anyone step on your freedom of expression.
Moving on swiftly.
Aingalo bana imagine vitengeza hapo new couples wenye mapenzi yao bado ni moto.
Leave alone couples. Some of our bodies do not look well in vitenges. We can all see that, duh.
Chantel had a nice figure, huh? Oops, did I say that aloud?
That is a hit song. That is a rap hit song.
God is bringing out the best in my life.
Sisi ni wale majibu ya rehema. Sisi ni wale.
There is this pressure that you need to make it. You need to drive. You need to have some money. You need to live a good life and live in a certain estate.
The people who are being celebrated are the people who seem to be making it big time. Your beliefs and your behavior, they don't match. There you have a big problem. We call it a dissonance. And it creates a psychological disturbance.
Many young people are depressed because they feel like they have failed. The standards are so high. And they look at their lives and they feel, when will I ever make it?
This is an age when they want to be accepted by their peers. Naturally, that's a natural, it's an innate need. It's a natural need. It's not something they just imagine. It is in them.
Military officers, family, friends and area leaders have bid farewell to the late Sergeant Rose Nyawera in a somber burial ceremony at her home in Kirinyaga County. Sergeant Nyawera, a photographer, perished along 9 others in the Elgeyo Marakwet helicopter crash last week Thursday. Kenya Air Force Deputy Commander Brigadier Peter Githinji eulogized her as a dedicated, reliable and a hard-working officer. While condoling with the family, Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru said the county hurts for losing 2 officers in the tragedy.
The late Sergeant Rose Nyawera. Poleni sana. I know this is a big loss, not just to the family, but to the KDF, to Kenya Air Force, to the county.
We pray for the peace of God that surpasses all understanding to guard your hearts and your minds during this very difficult time. Only God can comfort you.
You're gone forever. No more conversations and family time together.
Elsewhere, impunity within security agencies, gender-based violence, health workers' strike and economic hardships are some of the human rights issues Kenyans are grappling with, according to a report by Amnesty International. Amnesty International Kenya Executive Director Irungu Houghton says addressing impunity, protecting fundamental rights and ensuring accountability for perpetrators are essential steps towards creating a more just and equitable society in Kenya. In its annual State of the World's Human Rights report of 115 countries. The organization also highlighted the conflicts going on in Gaza, Ukraine, Sudan, Ethiopia and the Democratic Republic of Congo.
For reform of the UN Security Council so that permanent members cannot use their veto power to shield their international allies. We're calling for more to be done to protect civilians, and we're calling for human rights monitoring bodies to be properly resourced.
The key messages that we are presenting in the report is that leaders and multilateral institutions have betrayed people, and in the context of conflicts, civilians, and in particular in the context of the African Union.
Despite progress in terms of health reforms, health insurance reforms as well, we have again one of the longest strikes in our history. We also saw 350,000 people voluntarily give up their biometric data to a company that had not declared the full extent of what it was doing. And these are major concerns and will continue to be major concerns.
Westlands Member of Parliament Tim Wanyonyi has faulted Nairobi County leadership for allegedly failing to address rampant corruption at City Hall. The ODM lawmaker says the service delivery has been hampered greatly due to the vice, even as he called on Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja to slay the dragon of corruption in his government. Wanyonyi was speaking in Gigiri when he led the National Government Constituency Development Fund bursary distribution for over 6,500 students from his constituency.
Wakora. Wao wanajua huyu mtu ako kwa barabara amefunga mifereji, lakini akikuja hapo anawapatia pesa, wanaangalia kando. Sasa hivi tumesema kama hata ondolewa leo, mimi nitakuja na vijana tuende tumuondoe. Waondoke, tupeleke wale vijana sisi tumelipia fees, wamesoma na wamequalify, si ndio? Hao watoto sisi tumewachagua, tutawalipia school fees, full school fees kwa miaka 4 kutoka form 1 mpaka form 4. Na hizo checks za scholarship tutapeana next week on Monday.
Now let's go to the devolved units where the Laikipia County Assembly has called for an urgent meeting with Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki over the increasing bandit attacks in Laikipia and surrounding areas. Ward representatives led by the Speaker Lantano Nambala have condemned what they term as the sidelining of areas' insecurity issue. Now this and more in the counties.
Speaking in Kakamega during the welcoming ceremony of former Bungoma Governor Wycliffe Wangamati to the United Democratic Alliance, UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala stated that their goal was to ensure that the residents of the region speak in one voice to negotiate for government projects.
Maneno ya kujidanganya kwamba tunaweza kuwa tu kwa chama ambacho ni chama cha Waluya peke yake, alafu jidanganya ati tunaweza kuwa marais, hiyo mnatudanganya.
Elsewhere, residents of Maringo Estate in Markidara Sub-County, Nairobi County, have joined hands for a common cause to protect an open space along Nile Road against attempted grabbing.
Sinda ile tuko naye hapa pameuzwa na tujui mwenye kununua ama mwenye kuuza, na tunaitwa mpaka kwa ofisi wa Kajo, na hapa tulikuja 1991 ndio tulikuja bali hapa. Sasa kila wakati banauzwa na tujui muuzaji na mnunuaji ni gani.
Still on land issues, residents of Kamulu Dramville area have protested a move by a private developer to begin construction on a 1.5-acre public utility land. The aggrieved residents who took matters into their own hands and tried demolishing a house that was under construction said the land was meant for a special community project.
So tunahitaji a government facility iwe erected hapa, ili watoto wapate nini, kama ni hospitali isaidie watu. Hatuna hospitali, ile hospitali inajengwa hapa miaka mingi kutoka 2016 haijaisha.
And over 1,200 lawyers from Mount Kenya region have pledged to educate communities on legal issues that affect most families and communities at large. The lawyers converged at Kiambu County to launch Gema Watho Association.
When you are trained and educated where you have enough facilities, your scope of achievement is still equal to that one, or only limited by your handicap. Otherwise, if you're given the equipment and the facilitation that is given to the regular schools, you are better off to go.
Finally, members of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya have constructed an ablution block as a donation to Kambui Secondary School for the hearing impaired in Kiambu County. During the handing over ceremony, the school's principal said that despite the school being the only institution of its kind in the region offering special education for deaf students, it still lacks other vital facilities.
Kama tujuavyo saizi kuna changamoto nyingi, na baadhi yao ni tabia nchi ile tunaita climate change, huwa inachangia kufuruga mambo na ufugaji. You know, 80% of this community are pastoralist. So usipofanya mikakati strategy katika kupanga mpangilio ya maji na malisho, huwa utaumia sana.
Residents of Ikolomani constituency in Kakamega County have come to the defense of gold mining company Shanta over remarks by the county senator Boni Khalwale that the company is displacing residents from their farms to create space for his activities. During a meeting that brought together gold miners from Ikolomani, the residents accused the senator of insincerity, saying the area member of parliament Bernard Shinali has agreed with the mining company that no one will be displaced as claimed by the senator.
watu wenye wako na investors wengine ndio wanaeneza uvumbi kwa watu wetu, wakisema ya kwamba Shanta wanawahamisha, Shanta hawatuhamishi, Shanta tumekubaliana nao, watafanya kazi, sisi kama tuko kwa ground, tumeishi, tukikula na tukiendelea na maisha yetu.
We are now telling the senator to desist, or the senator and the area MCA to desist from lying people about the gold mining.
Hata kijana Mjaluo anafanya gold mining hapa, huyo ni Mkenya, uwache afanye biashara yake hapa. Mimi nimeenda Migori, kuna Waluya wengi wako huko wanafanya gold mining.
The Kenya Forest Research Institute is planning to engage stakeholders to ensure the relevance of forestry research and natural resources in a move aimed at enhancing socio-economic development. Speaking at the Institute's headquarters in Mugunga, KEFRI Acting Director, that is Dr. Jane Njuguna, said the Eco-Regional Consultative meeting held annually is aimed at prioritizing the allocation of funds and work plans for research and development. She said KEFRI, in partnership with other government agencies, have launched a mobile Ajira forest conservation exercise in line with President's directive of planting 15 billion trees.
Our concepts and subject the concepts or research concept to different stakeholders. This is part of the process that we are calling a crack.
And now welcome to the world of business. Kenya is set to join the League of the Semiconductors manufacturers and exporters following a deal that has been signed to set up a facility at Dedan Kimathi Science and Technology Park in Nyeri County. An Australian developer of green supply chain infrastructure and Semiconductors Technologies LLC are investing in 14.85 billion shillings in construction of the facility that is expected to start operations by mid next year.
A deal has been signed for investment of 54 billion shillings in the construction and development of semiconductors and microchips in Africa over the next 6 years. The first two of such facilities will be constructed at the Dedan Kimathi Science and Technology Park in Nyeri County.
Technology are extremely complicated, sometimes extremely expensive, and they actually require developers that have a keen eye on energy, on operating cost, on the real estate, on the green spaces, because we are looking to be the premier manufacturer of green semiconductors in the continent. What makes STL in Kenya, in Dedan Kimathi, unique is because we're on the equator, which means we do not suffer the extremes of climate.
The 14.85 billion shillings project in Kenya is expected to drive the country's green industrialization goals, transformative supply chain diversification, job creation, and the advancement of Kenya's position as Africa's silicon savannah.
The total value of that is about $400 million in debt and equity over the next 10 years. One of the things that sets Ivu apart from other developers and financiers of real estate assets, specifically industrial, is that environmental sustainability is at the core of what we do. And so we've committed by 2040 to have net zero emissions, operational emissions, and I'm talking about scope 2 and scope 3, indirect and direct emissions by 2040.
Continuing CTI's mission to not only promote workforce development, but also demystify science and empower Africans. Frederick Muki for Lunchtime.
Elsewhere, the range of locally assembled mobile devices in Kenya is set to be expanded from smartphone to a tablet, a feature smartphone, a Mobigo device to address the growing demand of devices by merchants and agent networks. Now, since the launch of the smartphone manufacturing plant in October last year, over 194,000 units have been produced.
The setting up of East Africa Device Assembly Kenya Limited in Athi River in October 2023 as a joint venture of local mobile network operators and international device manufacturers was geared at driving digital inclusion by making digital services affordable.
So promoting reforms is very, very important, creating policies around it so that we can support digitally enabled businesses.
Private sector players hope the discovery of coltan could potentially help reduce the cost of mobile devices, especially where locally manufactured components use coltan.
The government is also trying to introduce other devices, including tablets and mobigos, which are supposed to help especially entrepreneurs, of course, find more leverage in terms of application of digital technologies within their businesses.
Kenya faces a digital divide with 44% of the urban population having access to the internet compared to 17% in rural areas. The gaps in basic digital skills limit the wider usage and application of digital tools and services, while gaps in advanced digital skills limit business development.
And as representatives of the private sector, we recognize the need to draw our focus on the digital economy and the stakeholder collaboration in driving the agenda.
Regina Manyara reporting for Lunchtime News.
Unemployed youth should consider enrolling for training being offered under the Ajira digital program to gain skills such as transcription, virtual assistance, writing and translation, data entry and digital literacy that they could use to secure online work. Njoro Ajira Hub Center Manager Bernard Rotich says the program is positioning Kenya as an ideal labor destination for multinational companies, as well as position Kenya youth to tap online opportunities.
The training, we onboard them on a mentorship program whereby we take them through job opportunities available, after which we link them with job opportunities.
They introduced me in several platforms in online works, and I got to earn and even manage my bills.
I do online marketing through the training that I learned in Ajira Empowerment Center.
The Food and Agriculture Organization FAO wants the government to upgrade and improve Kenya's integrated agricultural management information system. This will help in the collection of crucial agriculture data and register farmers outgoing FAO country representative, that is Clara Mushavi, says data-driven agriculture will assist in climate change mitigation and target agriculture production.
The government has so far registered 6.3 million farmers and is targeting to register an additional 5 million farmers at the end of the second phase of registration. The Food and Agriculture Organization wants Kenya Integrated Agriculture Management Information System expanded to include more variables to ensure there is adequate data to drive agriculture policies.
Of course, looking at the farmers' registration, this is the first step, but is also looking at other, of course, services like e-extension. We know that is very important that the farmers, of course, they are really empowered.
FAO country representative Clara Mukavi says data is key in mitigating effects of climate change in agriculture production. Data collection through farmers' registration and digitization is earmarked to promote targeted interventions.
We have to mechanize, we have to bring the technologies, we have to digitalize. So this is a platform that also we look at this model, the model of e-mechanization, the model of course, monitoring and evaluation, because this is very important that at certain stage we really monitor and we see are there gaps, and bringing also, of course, policy, which is really critical.
The second phase of farmer registration is set to end on October this year. Benson Rioba reporting for Lunchtime News.
Logistic managers have been urged to stay ahead of the curve by embracing emerging technologies in the field to streamline operations and enhance efficiency. Apex Lord's Chief Executive Officer Charles Thor says this will ensure convenience in track matching, eliminating the need for third-party logistics service providers and reduce operational costs.
I would love that, and right now, and there's a lot of solutions that we got. Typically, a broker would take like 5 to 6 hours to find a truck, but with a platform, they can find the same truck in 5 to 10 minutes. And an additional layer, whenever it comes to logistics, credibility is a currency, because this cargo is worth a lot of money. What we're creating with Apex Load is what I would call an independent marketplace. So if you're a broker and you subscribe, you're able to post loads, and you can post as many loads as you want and no additional cost. So it's a flat subscription. It's a free market. So if there's something that needs to be moved, there's a truck for it. And now you just gotta create now we're just creating the market so you can find whatever you're looking for.
Now, let's continue with more news. The government will forego more partnership with the private sector to increase investments in research and development. Konza Technopolis Chief Paul Okwiri says innovative solutions will drive a business success while addressing societal needs.
Kenya has emerged as a front-runner in Africa's digital transformation journey, boasting significant strides in digital infrastructure and fostering a conducive environment for innovation. With an average annual growth rate of 10.6% since 2016, Kenya's information and communication technology sector stands out as a beacon of progress on the continent. One of the key drivers of Kenya's digital revolution is its robust digital economy, expected to contribute to 9.24% of the country's GDP by 2025.
Where we develop solutions for government, private sector, and other private entities. We are going to bring a lot of excitement into the market. Obviously, our key focus area is around digital transformation. With our OEMs, we are trying to enhance.
Konza Technopolis Chief Executive John Okwiri says Kenya's commitment to embracing innovation and strategic partnerships underscores its determination to secure a prosperous digital future.
Range of products and solutions, but in turn, we're just basically looking at what works in this market, not just what works in this market, but what do our customers in this local market require. That's really how we're going to be streamlining our solutions. It's not about everything, it's about what our customer needs, and then we zoom into how we can deliver that, and we identify the key partners, key OEMs that we can deliver these solutions with.
Tawanda Wallen Mangera, Group CEO of Tano Digital Solutions, says the company aims to become a premier partner for businesses navigating the complexities of the digital era. Okwiri Saya Kenya is leading the digital revolution in Africa, driving economic growth and societal advancement.
And now finally, let's get down to the sports stories of the day, and we start off with the English Premier League, where Phil Foden scored a brace as defending champions Manchester City closed the gap on English Premier League leaders Arsenal to 1 point with the flawless 4-0 victory at Brighton. Now, Arsenal had moved 4 clear of City with a midweek win over Chelsea, while Liverpool slipped up at the Merseyside rivals Everton.
Already. Bernardo Silva with a challenge, and it breaks for Foden, and he places it into the...
Now to the tennis court, where Rafael Nadal began his Madrid Open campaign with an outstanding straight-set win over American teenager Darwin Blanche. He took just 63 minutes to complete a 6-1, 6-0 win over his 16-year-old opponent.
The five-time Madrid champion, who plans to retire at the end of the 2024 season, took just 63 minutes to complete a 6-1, 6-0 victory over his 16-year-old opponent. Nadal indicated that he will only play at the French Open next month if he feels capable enough to compete. He will play Australian Alex de Minaur, who beat him in the second round of the Barcelona Open last week, in the next round in Madrid. The French Open, where Nadal is a record 14-time champion, starts on the 26th of May.
Well, that story from the tennis court. Congratulations to Rafael Nadal in that particular Open. That marks the end of our bulletin this lovely afternoon, but do join us in our subsequent bulletins at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. My co-anchor is Brian Muraru. Good afternoon and enjoy the rest of your viewing.